that are included within this methodology of work. Territorial planification in Ecuador is crucial to be able to keep a sustainable and equitable development so that we can allocate resources in a very efficient way and taking into account the geography of our parishes. This also helps us comply with the SDGs. So within Ecuador, we have the Constitutional Republic, that is the first part of the framework. Then we have the Organic Code of Territorial Organization and the Organic Law of Citizen Participation. All of this law framework allows us to defend the power of citizens and also to be able to guarantee the exercise of the rights in a way that we can encompass all of these rights, not only for planification, but also for the control and oversight. Following slide. As you can see here, we have the parish assemblies, and we have sort of two methodologies for the urban and the rural areas. Now we'll focus on the urban areas, on the 15 urban parishes that we have here, each of them with their names. How does this methodology work? Following slide, please. Thank you. Within the urban area, the 15 parishes, we have two types of assemblies or meetings that are mandatory by law. However, we didn't want to have only those two. We always want to be able to recover the trust from citizens. So that's why, as you can see in this photograph, we started with some workshops before to be able to have a debate and training with the citizens, because citizens have a lot of needs, but sometimes they don't know who to resort to or how they need to request for that need. And that makes it very difficult for them to communicate so that we can make an analysis and allocate resources that they need. Once we developed those workshops, we continued with the parish meetings. And here we have added the delegation or nomination of the citizen delegates. They need to be that link of the process of those requirements between citizens and the administration. What happens? We have a massive participation of citizens. It is very difficult to be able to communicate with more than 1,000, 2,000 people that come to these meetings. And sometimes these delegates have a very important role to be able to support citizens of the neighborhoods to have an oversight or follow-up of what they need. Here you can see in the meetings of the parish, we have also the canton meeting that is stipulated by the law, but between the two meetings, the ones of the parish and the ones of the cantons, we have also created the technical analysis roundtables, and they are intended to have a technical feasibility, legal feasibility, and financial feasibility analysis. Because what happened in prior administrations? All of the neighbors want to participate in those, but sometimes they are not certain whether who to resort to or how to request for that. So with these technical debate roundtables, we can make sure that the requirement made by the citizen can be taken so that resources can be allocated and that we can comply with that commitment, because we want to recover the trust of the citizens, and we can do that only by carrying out these measures. In this slide, you can see some data from 2016 regarding the citizen requirements that were seen in meetings versus the attendance. You can see in 2023 and how it has notably increased the number of requirements and attendance as well. So we can see that this methodology that is being used has been very useful with positive results and has regained trust from the citizens. Thank you so much. Following slide, please. We mentioned before that Cuenca is divided in a rural and urban area. Now, if we go to the rural area, it works in a different way. And within the municipality of Cuenca, we have a public policy that falls within the ordinance of allocation of resources, of participatory resources of the 21 urban governments. Maybe you know about this. We have been developing this in some cities and in some countries. Once this ordinance was approved, it was amended, but thankfully, thanks to the municipal cooperation and the administration, they have given priority to citizen participation. And in the same way, to be able to sign these agreements and the resources, we always look for the citizen participation through these parish meetings. After that, we sign the different agreements with the different parish governments. And after we sign those agreements, these resources are given annually. We do a monitoring and oversight of this, and we complete the cycle with compliance, the closure of this. So in this way, we can close this loop. Then we sign new agreements, we allocate new resources that are based on the citizens' needs. What's very important here regarding participatory budget is that we have the allocation of resources through a formula. You can see the increase. We started in 2000 with 3 million, and here in 2025 we will allocate 9 million. And we use this formula where different factors are taken into account. The most relevant ones are, in this case, population, the basic needs that have not been met, and something else, the hectares of the rural areas of protection. You know that climate change and the difficulties due to that sometimes are not taken into account by the administrations. Multiple governments don't pay attention to this. So in this way, we can motivate the different administrations to concentrate on this as well. Now we will like to show you that the works or services that are complied with in the different layers are strongly important, and being able to meet these requirements from the citizens, from the smallest to the largest cities, allow us to recover and to strengthen the trust within citizens. Here you can see the cultural centers El Cebollar, workshops for older adults. So these go hand in hand with the needs of vulnerable groups, for example, the older adults, women who are in charge of their homes, and we also promote the recovery of the different spaces. They have a space where they can share their different projects and to strengthen their organization as well. And we have a new proposal that has been implemented within this administration. We create different spaces regarding citizen meetings. But what happens with people who cannot go to these meetings? How can we reach them? How can we have a debate with them? So within this administration, we have used a best practice that is called Mayor Listens. This methodology was implemented to have a direct debate with the mayor and with all of the administration that goes up the mayor. So in this way, the citizen does not feel that the authorities are not within reach. So they can truly tell us about their needs. You can see some pictures where you can see in these pictures that these debates are on different sites, on different meetings. So we weekly analyze the different needs. We have an open dialogue with citizens, and we also perform these other experiences of citizen participation. So we would like to share with you how we perform all of these methodologies that we hope can be useful for you as well, and that you can also provide feedback to us so that we can mutually grow and strengthen ourselves, because that is the aim of the administration. It is also worth noting that even if we have a legal framework, a methodology, if there is no willingness from the administration, from those who are in charge, whether they are managers, directors, this won't work at all. So this goes both ways. It is a co-responsibility between the administration and citizens. Citizens need to recover their involvement. They need to participate actively, because this also helps us to provide legitimacy to the different processes, that they can feel part of that decision of that public policy, and it also helps this methodology to run smoothly and to be supported. Public officers also need to understand the significance of citizen participation, because sometimes it not only involves the authorities and citizens, but also, as you can see, you have a different structure of officers who need to have a change, a shift in their mindsets. We need to have a working group to be able to understand the importance of this cooperation. And when we tell citizens that we are going to be meeting their needs, that has to be complied with, because otherwise we generate lack of trust. This is what we wanted to share with you within what we have been developing in the city of Cuenca. So thank you very much for your attention. Have a good afternoon. Thank you, Monica Vargas, Director of Citizen Participation of Cuenca, Republic of Ecuador. I would like to introduce the following speaker. I invite you to the stage, Tiago Tinis, Executive Secretary of Popular Participation of João Pessoa, Brazil. A round of applause for him. We remind the speakers that the allotted time is of 10 minutes.
Boa tarde a todos e a todas.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tiago Diniz. I have my translation device. I come from a city in the northeast of Brazil, in the state of Paraíba. It's a city of 830,000 inhabitants. It's a city that has as a main economic drive tourism. The city of Pessoa is very strong. There's many beaches. We have our historic center, has a nice history that brings in tourists from Brazil and the rest of the world. João Pessoa is one of the three most sought after cities in according to Booking. So you are hearing to as secretary of João Pessoa, and now you probably want to know about more about João Pessoa, and I'm giving you a basic balance of my city. I brought something to present. If you have it here, we can move forward with that. I think that it's best if I go that way so that I can see the panel. In João Pessoa,
Evolução da democracia para
the evaluation of the education of participation, sorry, in João Pessoa is then we have also the coming challenges for our city.
Agora sim, fica mais fácil.
Now it's much easier. Okay, we have a few pictures here that summarize our city. We have 830,000 inhabitants. The tourism is always high season throughout the year. Next slide, please.
Ok. A nossa cidade de 800.
Our city of 830,000 inhabitants is a city divided into 14 regions. We call them popular participation regions. They are 65 neighborhoods and several communities. And we have a program called Eu Sou Prefeito, I am Mayor. João Pessoa has been working with participatory democracy for 20 years, in spite of different governments. From 2005 to 2025, we have maintained this democratic tool in our government. A great difference was the main difference was the previous one, sorry. In João Pessoa, from 2005 to 2012, we called it a democratic budget. And then from then on to 2020, the democratic budget was called a participatory budget. And from that point on, we created with the Cicero, the mayor called Cicero, we changed the name. Now the program is called Você Prefeito. You are the prefect. And we created this program to remodel the tool, which had been under certain wear and tear. It had been fallen. So we tried to modernize it by creating this program with the intention of making it more accessible to the people in João Pessoa. The people in João Pessoa did not have as much technology, and this program allowed us to establish technological challenges so that population could could reach us through telephone, through many different platforms. So there was there were more ways so that the citizens could participate. So, and they could also participate if they couldn't go physically, they could do it from their homes or wherever they are. To talk about our participation cycle so that it can participate, we use the counselors. The counselors in João Pessoa is no more than a citizen who is a protagonist of their own story, who's going to be the protagonist of the future of the city. This counselor or advisor can participate in an electoral process where they might mobilize 10 people who live somewhere that vote him so that they can be an advisor. There are no limits in the number of advisors. There are no limits on their numbers. If we set a limit, we're limiting mobilization. If that area, if that region selected 30 advisors, then amazing. If they selected 60 advisors, the mobilization in that region is going to be very good. So we closed the advisor selection process or election process. The advisors who were elected have a 2-year mandate. And we closed this election process with 260 advisors in the city of João Pessoa. They bring demands and problems, and they build the solutions with us to those problems. So they are fundamental so that we can have a sample for that population. They are a large sample of their population in relations to their desires and their collective pains. Over the last few years, from 2022 to 2024, we have done over 20 audiences in the city of João Pessoa. These audiences are done in the school gyms. We have the governments, the city secretaries, the mayors, the prefects, the vice prefects, vice mayors. So we put up a structure so that the participants can use a microphone such as this, and that they can continue with all of the procedures and help the management, help the administration for the people, and they allow us to hear the people who live in those territories. And we put in all of these regions a microphone for the population so that they can criticize constructively. And many administrations are afraid of criticism, and we must grow with criticism. We cannot be afraid of it. It's fundamental that we need to understand that participatory democracy is an X-ray of society, a way to have a panoramic view of the problems of the city, and so that we can build these solutions together. And those 20 audiences that we did turned the city into something more democratic, more participatory. The participation was more effective. This is very important. After the plenary, we have a budget law where we do a report. That report is moved to the city, to the council, and that is all recorded by the executive secretaries of João Pessoa. We've had an increase in government participation of percentage of participation, and participatory democracy has a direct effect in the government approval. When governments are not afraid to talk with the population, to talk about their pains, about their problems, when we can go to the most painful points we can increase the acceptance of government. And how do we increase acceptance? By delivering results. And it's only possible to have a more effective result with the population being more satisfied. We have some images of the public audiences, the plenary audiences. We have many kinds of people participating. We have teens. We stimulate the teenage and children participating, which is great because the voting system is demands are voted, and after they are recorded, and I would also like to and there's also the top 3 policies that can be voted in infrastructure, in education. For example, let's say somebody says, I want the school in my neighborhood to be reformed, to be remodeled, restored. So they have the possibility of voting for these initiatives. We're talking about children and teens, and we have Você Prefeito program in schools. We bring together the city schools to discuss, and they can choose to do actions against racism, against religious intolerance, and we do debates with those children. And the cherry on top is going to be that the children that to participate in these discussions are invited to be part of plenary discussions, and they are the first to talk in these public audiences, and we collect the feedback from them and information about the children and the community. We understand the optics of children based on their studies, the educational level, if you need a water fountain, for example, all kinds of needs, and so they can tell the mayor that there's a need for more investment on any of those factors, and this communication can be digitally or physically. We have ordinary and extraordinary meetings. This was one of our colleagues was participating on that a while ago, and this is routine for participatory democracy. We cannot do the cycle with just plenary meetings, because the citizen participation is built day by day, and we do this by meetings with the 16 WhatsApp groups that we have for each of the regions in João Pessoa. We work with all of the different WhatsApp groups, and we can do it with the team very well, and we check this. We can see this craziness that is to work with these 270 advisors. This is a large number, a reasonable number, but each of them have their own intentions, and each of them wanting to vouch for their neighborhood. So the collective interest ends up being over the individual interest, because it's no use to do ordinary and plenary meetings if we don't train the population, if we don't teach the population. Some of them know about the public budget. Some of them know how bids work. Our people knows that they have the right to have public quality education. So we need to teach them, and we need to perfect the knowledge, the training of a citizen, so that these citizens can be more effective to collaborate with us. We have done this training processes with our citizens through our through our advisors, and the results of these plenary meetings, of the ordinary meetings, the Você Prefeito, that means that you, the mayor, which is the translation of the program, is that there's a lot of that in that result, and I've tried to sum it up. And we have schools with Google Rooms, with interactive tables for autistic children. We have over 1,500 autistic children. All of them have their assistants. And all of the schools in João Pessoa have the access to a caregiver or an assistant. They all have the possibility of developing cognitively, and that's only possible by listening to everyone. If we can come out of our offices and listen to people in the streets, a poor old lady who has autism and has no way to treat that child, and how can we treat the life of that children, of that child, of that grandma. And we do it by education. We also do paving roads. We create sidewalks. The streets of João Pessoa 20 years ago had been paved by some people, some administrators, but they didn't think of sidewalks. They only paved the streets. Now we have over 1,500 streets which were paved, but also with the paving of the sidewalks with indications for people with visual deficiencies. We did more than you can see this bridge that you can see there was my first visit as the municipal citizen participation secretary. This is one of the largest initiatives of citizen participation in the city. The bridges that communicate to the other neighborhood are falling down. They are going to, and the minute that maybe that the next person that goes through that bridge is going to fall, and there were no vehicles moving from one end to another, and now the city, the government, has delivered this bridge that allows for people to connect. A connection for work, for connections among families, and now we brought this community out of isolation. I've seen other images here you can see there's some images from the classrooms, and I think that this is I just tried to summarize everything. I apologize for the madness. I was coming so fast from lunch, but I wanted to thank you all for the opportunity. I'm going to be listening attentively to all of you, which is, I think it's fundamental so that we can integrate among one another and so that we can learn from one another. We don't know, one person does not know more than the other. We have been working since 2023 trying to learn, because citizen participation for us is learning. It's learning, and we learn with our population, with our citizens. That when with the mayor, we learned in that first meeting with our citizens. We left this event with that idea. And my Instagram is Tiago Diniz. You can see the results of my program. You can follow me. And I'm eager to listen to the experiences of you all. Thank you very much, and see you later. This is the mayor of João Pessoa. There is no sound on the microphone.
Juan Cristóbal Lloret, entonces prefecto de Suay en Ecuador. Bienvenido. Gracias. Bueno, muchas gracias, muy buenas tardes con todos y todas. Saludo con los miembros de este panel. Es un lujo poder compartir con ustedes.
The microphone is not functional for the interpretation, so we will be back once the sound quality is fixed.
Al presidente de la Oidp, gracias a Córdoba por recibirnos tan calurosamente. Creo que eso primero nos llena de mucho orgullo y calor, pero sobre todo nos hace ver las similitudes entre los pueblos latinoamericanos y ese cariño que nos tenemos entre todos. Quiero también decirles que había preparado un video y en honor al tiempo voy a poner el reloj acá para saber cuándo son los 10 minutos y no pasarnos. Mientras nos ayudan con un video, porque les traje dos cosas. Uno, cómo funciona nuestro mecanismo de participación ciudadana en la provincia de Azuay, en donde soy prefecto. Ahí tenemos 15 municipios, la capital es Cuenca, que también ya nos dio su exposición. Y quería compartirles una experiencia en particular de la recuperación de un humedal que la estamos haciendo como prefectura. Entonces, mientras pasa el video, yo les voy contando cómo funcionan los modelos de participación ciudadana en Ecuador y sobre todo en la provincia de La Azuay. Pero quizás ahí el reto que quería compartir con ustedes es cómo logramos pasar de una democracia representativa a una democracia más participativa.
Maybe that's a challenge for all of us, and maybe the experiences are going to strengthen those capacities. I think it's necessary to join two words for these goals. One of them is democracy and the other is participation. And we go deeper into participation and democracy, we're going to have a better democracy. We are not going to be meeting every 4 years. No, for when we choose our representatives. That's why when we have the citizen participation mechanisms, first of all, we would like to tell you that there's a law in Ecuador that has certain parameters to increase participation. But our local experience, we have a provincial ordinance that helps us channel participation. That doesn't allow us that allows us to channel basically participation. And you have people that I heard just now that democracy can be strengthened. It's no more than leading by obeying. Obeying who? The citizens. And this is a very wise phrase. We apply it every day. We have a provincial ordinance of citizen participation, and we also have some participation mechanisms that can become policies. We have the Provincial Council of Participation, which is a technical social. There are social representatives that are part of this.
El presupuesto, nada más y nada menos. O sea, el presupuesto se revisa con la gente, con los representantes de los diferentes sectores de la sociedad civil. Y para aprobar ese presupuesto se convoca una gran asamblea, ahí hay más de 2.000 asistentes, que son los representantes de los barrios, las parroquias, las comunidades, los diferentes sectores sociales y productivos.
I apologize, their sound quality is still insufficient for interpretation.
Se acepta también las modificaciones, los cambios, y al final se vota ese presupuesto en una asamblea amplia, participativa. Pero tenemos otros instrumentos.
We have other instruments that are also part of the planning. We have the Planning Council for Children and Adolescents. We have 16 children and youths there. children from 9 years old to 16 years old, which use 5% of the budget, which is invested in children and adolescents. So that's how we give some guidelines, but we work with children and adolescents, and we try to make them closer. They are 5%. And we have other instruments. We have a budget of road maintenance that is worked with the cities, with the smaller governments, which are the parochial governments. And this budget divided funds, and they granted funds, and they prioritized around $12.4 million in public participation for people in assemblies. There are 83 assemblies in the province of Azuay to define which are the priorities, because the resources are scarce. They are not infinity. They are finite, and that's how our citizen participation system works. At the end of the year, we account for what we did. This is in general terms of participation. I wanted to bring you this video because we're working on a local bet in which we put together participation and the environment. I don't know if we have some audio there. So
el hogar del oso de anteojos y el tapir andino en el Collal. Son 29.000 hectáreas conservadas, beneficiando a más de 110.000 personas. A la protección del hábitat y la conservación de la vida silvestre invertimos más de $40.000 anuales. Recuperamos humedales, San Martín en Girón, Buza en San Fernando y Quingol en el Sixic, con técnicas especializadas en rehabilitación física y biológica.
Tómenle atención a esto.
pay attention to this, please.
Agroproductivas, promoviendo un equilibrio entre el desarrollo y la conservación ambiental, invertimos más de $130.000 anuales. Proteger el clima es proteger la vida. Por estas acciones,
The audio is very low right now from the video, so that's why there's no interpretation.
ejemplo para el Ecuador y para el mundo. Azuay está marcando el camino protegiendo la vida, cuidando su futuro. Azuay, verde y sostenible.
Queríamos
I wanted to show you this video, especially the end, because we have two elements, participation and our a sustainability vision. In the video, there was a space where it's now a lagoon, it's now a wetland that is at 3,700 meters high, that due to climate change, it became a place of pasture. And when the Azuay prefecture decided to recover that wetland, because this is a good area to accumulate water for the populations down there. First of all, we had the opposition of people, and they said, no, not here, because you're taking the feed for my cattle. And through a participation model, through community assemblies, and showing them how the model works, we were able to go into those wetlands, and we started a restoration process. Over 200 hectares were restored, and we are still working on more of that. A lot of that material that was coming from those grasslands that turned into a lagoon, we turned it into the organic material, into organic manure and fertilizer, so that they can improve the feedstock for their cattle. And we also worked with women. We inserted them in this model, and we were able to teach them how to work, how to knit with the cattails that were growing in those areas, and that those reeds, in which so that we could improve the income of these women. So this was an obstacle, this was opposition, and we transformed it into another model, a model of support to the project, because they were benefited directly from that biomass that was turned into fertilizer with the changing these cattails that were invasive into artisanship. And we're working with sustainable tourism also in the area. And now we have the first association of small tourism managers, small tourism co-op, so that the income of that population, of that rural population, can be improved. That is a practice that puts together two elements: the citizen participation and socialization, the two-way street of listening to needs and learning how to solve those needs through public policy, and also the possibility of recovering a space for life for a large part of the population of Azuay. This is in the cantons of San Fernando and Giroy, and that it helps us improve the conditions for people there. And it's something that I wanted to reflect before my time runs out, was that in order to achieve effective democracy, to achieve a participation model that can be probably the most appropriate, you always need to have a final goal. And the final goal is to reduce the social gaps that are so wide. We are one of we are the most unequal country in the most unequal continent in the world. And maybe the rest, the goal of the local authorities would be to reach the optimal model to drive, to foster citizen participation, participatory democracy. And we cannot do this without combating the true enemy, which is poverty and inequality and inequity. Because we cannot continue in this world where 2% of the population accumulating 98% of the riches. And that's not the model, and that's not the world that we should aim at. And maybe the systems and the mechanisms of participation help us to be able to have a more equal, a fairer model. And I want to close with a reflection from Pope Francis, who said that inequality is the root for social evils. But the response is not in charity, as some people think, that we need to give charity to the poor and whatnot. It's in policy, it's in politics, because policy is a very high way of solidarity and social justice, when that policy seeks the common good of society. I would like to close with that sentence, and thank you very much. Thank you, Juan Cristóbal Lloret Valdivieso, the prefect of Azuay in Ecuador. Let's give the floor to Fernanda Alonso, who is the mayor of General Pico in La Pampa.
Welcome, Fernanda. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here for this debate. What we do on the ground, we can transport here to be able to share what we do. I would like to start by saying that I'm from one of the smallest communities of this panel. We are 67,000 inhabitants in General Pico, La Pampa, the city I'm the mayor of for the second time. And I'm so proud of being here, and I understand that citizen participation gave me the possibility, actually, of being here in charge of the city that I love and that gave me my family. And I would like to say that citizen participation is a tool that we incorporated in the administration. It is undeniable and it is cross-sectional because we truly believe in it. We understand that participation is a tool that can fight against all evils. It will strengthen and guarantee the democratic system. We need to value and keep on defending every day, today more than ever. And in light of this, we started working very early from the moment that my political party, that is Partido Justicialista, decided that I will be the mayor of my city. And from that moment on, we included a lot of citizen participation mechanisms for people to have the opportunity of choosing and casting their votes within that private space, so that they could choose the 4 following years of the administration of those people that will be allocating resources. And they have to be informed. They need to know everything that there is to know about the candidates, because we take on a unique responsibility when we cast a vote. So at that point, we started working on the construction of the on our platform in a collective way and participatory way. So after I was chosen and I was given this responsibility of heading the city, I was certain that this would be a tool that would be used in every public policy. We cannot work if we don't have the representation of the different sectors. What Jay said, there cannot be a child, a boy, a girl, or a young person that is not represented through the voice of their peers in an area where the resources that are allocated to them through the public policies. In General Pico, we have Children Committee. In General Pico, we have a Gender Policies Committee. We also have older adults advisory groups. We also have spaces where we define the public resources that are allocated to public policies that target the neighbors that will be the protagonists of those public policies. So we can include people who represent that sector: children, older adults, people with disabilities. They also have their own committee. There cannot be a user of a public policy that does not have the personal experience of deciding what to do with public funds. They need to raise their voices and provide the reasons for their needs. And what we understand as participation is for the following. Cities do not build community, as this title mentions. Community is what cities build. We understand that communities are built with social relations, and social relations are given thanks to different neighbors who truly know who is next door, what is happening to the person next to us, the person that engages and can be truly empathetic, that can truly feel what happens to the other neighbor. And that is a mechanism that we must use in every administration, in every state, in every space, every position that we hold. And having said that, we also like to say that we have defined through 9 consecutive years in our city the opportunity of having the participatory budget program, as some of the other speakers mentioned. And neighbors need to decide which works will be conducted, which investment has to be made with this part of the budget allocated for such purpose. And then after the debate, the discussion in the roundtable with the neighbors with the blueprints of the neighbor can say, this is the unsafest street, this is the area where we want to invest on a specific work or work with a specific population. That has to be carried out. There is no way for us not to perform it, because that is the true monitoring of our actions, right? In how we come to concrete solutions based on what neighbors need. And neighbors need to have an oversight of this. We also have a commitment as to the neighbors. This is what I defend. This is what I want to be carried out. I want to engage the others to participate actively as well. And the following years, participation will be guaranteed if we complied with that. Because we guarantee that we can have true advocacy. There is no citizen participation as we see it. If we don't have assurance, if we don't have neighbors who know that they have been listened to, and we need to truly value their times, because they have used that day to do something that truly means something. So those of us who have the decision-making authority of allocating resources and using them in different actions, we need to take information of that. We need to take that to our desks from the ground, from the different sites, and we can turn that into a public policy. So I will close with this. I truly believe that it is a pillar, a tool that we need to incorporate to our administration for those of us who have the task of leading cities. It is a tool that truly fights against corruption. The more participation we have, the least corruption we will have, and it is a tool that legitimates decisions, that solves problems every day, and that joins us in this opportunity of moving forward together, and together with the community as well, as a group, not as isolated individuals in administration. That's what we have to learn. So thank you so much. Thank you, Fernanda Alonso, Mayor of General Pico La Pampa, Argentina. Now we go to Maguette Boyer, Mayor of Combole, Senegal. Welcome.
Bonjour.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that each and every one of you can put on your headsets so that I can start talking. I'm going to wait for you. Okay? Great. This is a moment that I love because I'm going to to sound off a little bit on you. Let's wait for the presentation to be visible. And I was saying this is the moment that I love because I'm going to, throughout the conference, the headsets that you have been wearing is going to, you're going to hear a lot from us here. This is for our presentation. The city of Combol is being awarded. My name is Maguette Boyer. I'm the mayor of the city of Combol, which is a city. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the Republic of Senegal. This is a Republican state which is born from the independence that we obtained. We used to be a colony of the Republic of France,
républicain est décentralisé.
and our country is decentralized and has a little bit over 600 territorial collectivities, which are departments for territorial planning and also communes with a scale that puts in practice some of the policies. I would like to thank the Executive Secretary of the IOPD and the city of Córdoba for inviting me to this place and for allowing me to share the experience of a small commune inside Senegal. And the mayor said that she has the smallest community in the assembly, but I think that that's my place because I have 20,000 inhabitants. But we have a program that is laboratory development from our town. This is a local development lab that allows us to test initiatives that are innovative here at a territorial scale so that they can have an international scale. That's why I came here to share this with you. An initiative of ours that is called Local Digital Participatory Democracy. I can't see my presentation right now. Sorry. There is a video, that's true, but I want to see the presentation, not the video. I was saying that while they bring up the presentation, I was going to tell you that Combol is a small commune outside of the capital. The laboratory is a place where we test projects to duplicate them at a national or international scale in other communities. So, do you know anything about ISNUR? Okay, no, somebody said yes. Okay, great. ISNUR is a famous Senegalese singer who said, and I translate, "The way I lived the past comes back to the present." So to translate this to an image, this song, we had an image of the past where we had two women. In Senegal, we are a city in which over 80% of the population approves of polygamy, so they share husbands. Do you know what is a pilam? Which is a cut log to work the cereals so that a product is obtained to serve the community. Each of these people who had a pilam, one of these cut logs that would hit this pilam to create the couscous for the community, that pilam we had to bang with this pilam to get something useful from that community. That's the image that I can give you regarding my digital tool, our digital tool. I was invited to talk about democracy, of participatory democracy, from the digital point of view, including the populations and trying to humanize this connection, to connect, to include, and to humanize. That's what we wanted to do. So I said I can talk about participation. This is a concept that we have in Combol to connect a population by humanizing the digital side. To connect, to integrate, and to humanize. The digital tool is very strong today, it's very powerful. the economies are becoming more and more digitalized, more and more and related to IT, and we can bring this down to communities, and we can use it for good or we can use it for harm. And if we don't take care of populations, then we are destroying, we are damaging lives. So we need to use the digital to develop a new concept of participatory democracy beyond the participatory democracy, the physical participatory democracy. We need to move it to the digital sphere.
Alors, face au manque d'information des populations,
Facing the lack of information, the deficit of participation of citizens, and the needs of modernization of local governance, we have developed the concept called local digital participatory democracy. This emerged from the will of the community, the will to modernize local governance in Combol, to have a permanent dialogue between the administration and the citizens by using a digital tool. Facing this deficit of the connectivity in people, we cannot use it at the same time to reach population and to be able to talk with them about democracy and transparency, but also we can talk with them about collecting their points of view. That's why this model is made of a certain number of initiatives. The first of them is the the quarter information bulletin or newsletter, which is summarized in a PDF document, which is sent to the entire population because all of them are in social media, not just on WhatsApp. So everything that happens in our community is sent to their phones, and every time that the newsletter is created, it's sent to all of the people. And we also have an annual report. So we have every year on the 1st of January, we send an annual report as a PDF that is sent to all of the phone numbers of the population who live in Combol. We have the 2024 report here, which came out on the 1st of January of 2025. So all of the people who have WhatsApp received this report on January 1st. The other element I need to go back to the previous slide. The other tool that we have is the Mayor's Tick, which comes from TikTok, which is a very powerful tool and a very performative tool. We use it to inform better because youths use it and allows them to participate in the city management and the city administration. We devote a period of time every month, and the mayor can connect with the population through all of the social media platforms. So we exchange information with them, we expose the public policies, we get their points of view, their criticisms, their orientations. You can see right away how we can receive a lot of information from this. And we're very satisfied with what we have achieved. The rest of that is the monthly journal with a few minutes in which we summarize Every month in our local language, we translate the activities, and we send a video to the entire population. And then we have the budget integration debates, which are preceded by neighborhood meetings, in which the concerns of the population are retrieved by the town and administration to create a community budget. Something that we implemented recently is the use of AI with ChatGPT, which takes the information related to the town, to the commune, so that every time a person can interact with an AI agent, where they can give us information and data, and this allows us to interact with our population. And this is a summary of what we call the participatory democracy. Here we have the quarter newsletter, which we send in PDF format. We have the annual report with the same format. Here we have the Le Tic du Maire, which is the mayor's tick. And this is how we dialogue with the entire population, which is connected. And the impact of these activities at a population level has 3 levels. First, related to local communities, and another related to local administration and the transparency of governance. Here we have a sample of the inclusion of the information of a vulnerable population. This way we can integrate citizens who used to be excluded from the process, or that weren't being considered because they were in a blind spot. So it's our task to implement a device to reach them, to be able to interact with them. And youths prefer to use digital tools. So the reinforced citizen commitment means that they are more involved in the life, in the city life. And this is due to the use of the digital tools and the access of to information, which is permanently updated thanks to a link that we have added, and the information is permanently updated and constantly up to date. Please, the next slide. Another impact is related to city administration. Thanks to the storage of information that can be supplied to us thanks to digital tools, so that this turns into a more efficient tool. And this allows us to anticipate and to give convenient answers. We also have the continued transfer, and which creates a level of confidence for the citizens in relation to the administration. Another area is also related to participatory democracy, to create the budget. This allows us to have good participation in the population when they are invited to be more involved in the creation of public policies, and also in the implementation and the evaluation of the impact. Next slide, please. This is at the results level and the impact level. Next slide, please. This is what we receive as comments. and the work related to the management, the administration reports, the newsletters that are sent to all of the people, because they ask to receive these contacts, because we have the contacts in our database. And every time they receive, they give some feedback and some comments. Next slide, please. To thank for your attention. I would like to thank you for your attention. I would like to invite you to the centennial of my commune, which will be in December 2025. Thank you very much to the city of Córdoba and the people who were with me in the panel. And thank you for the attention that you have given me. Now I'm here for you if you want to contact me. Thank you very much, Maki Boyi, the mayor of. Now it's there's time for some questions. I don't know if we have time for questions or if we should close. And yes, we are past our time, but maybe we can dedicate 2 to 3 minutes. I have some questions, but if somebody wants to take advantage of the time to ask a question, now is the time. If not, I will do them myself. If you would like, I will give them the microphone.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. From the province of Jujuy, the north of Argentina, I would like to thank for this opportunity to be here and to listen to you very attentively in each of your presentations. And based on this entire discussion that is very interesting, and we have a very constructive feedback, this is great for the community. We know that this information will be translated into different actions in different parts of the world, not only in the Republic of Argentina. I would like to ask all of you, the local ones, what is the challenge that with this very important information that we have from people who come from outside, are you going to face transparency based on public data, public opinion, so that together you can make more constructive decisions so that you can help population? Thank you so much. So, Diego, 10 minutes in total, okay? Can you hear me? We'll speak louder, maybe. The first challenge is trust, I think. We are living an electoral or voting scenario with a very low voting count. We think that people are sort of disenchanted, and politicians need to assess themselves. The previous administration, the new administration, all of us. I think that regarding transparency, I'm speaking for Buenos Aires, right? The city of Buenos Aires. We have access to public information. Everything is documented in the newsletter. We have traceability. We have been working on that for a long time so that every piece of information that has to be communicated is available for everyone. Okay, Fernanda? Well, I said that the more participation mechanisms we have, more opportunities for transparency there will be. So I understand that that is one of the ways forward, and that's what I'm trying to do on the ground every day under this great responsibility that is leading the city. There are a lot of mechanisms that exist where different citizens have the possibility of taking a look at the budget and the different investments. I can speak of the community where I live, right? General Pico, in the province of La Pampa, Argentina, 67,000 inhabitants. And we have the possibility of actively participating, truly engaging, and accessing information. And of course, as my fellow mentioned, you have administrative and public information that is also available, and there are representatives of the people who are the different council people, councilmen, councilwomen, and we need to work on this representation. Those representatives, we need to represent the different areas of those of us who lead in the judicial branch, the legislative branch. We have specific roles, each of us, and we need to be accountable. For me, participation is key. That's why I'm here, and General Pico will receive an award. Thank you. Any other question from the audience? I would like to take the opportunity to ask Tiago. It really caught my attention, that part of remote participation. What was the impact that this technological possibility added for those people who cannot be present there at the events, and how do you channel that participation?
Onde nós fazíamos, no caso, os outros governos, eles faziam as audiências públicas. E quando nós...
1 second, please. The Portuguese booth is not working. There we go. We could reach different places. It is key that technology, the idea that technology will never replace the on-site meetings, of course. Technologies came here to help us guide with the participation from the citizens. So if we include that tool, it is to be able to collect data from people from different social sectors. We have the profile of the person who participated through the technological tool, and that is used to create public policies. For example, regarding health, you can really know about the different needs of the neighbors, and particularly in each of the regions. So I realized that technology in our case is essential so that we can make the system more democratic, so that we could have more participation in every corner of the city. But we can never replace that need of having a sort of physical contact with the population. That is key. We go to the communities, we go to the field, we make some tours and visits, and the purpose is for us to be able to execute public works and projects, because when we do that, we make the desire of the different citizens to be closer and connected to the place where they live. So we have even more participation thanks to those tools. What about communication with the population? If we include the digital part, we include a more part of society. Today, everyone is connected with their phones, with their smartphones, with a number that is associated or linked to WhatsApp. Or if the population is informed, they can make better decisions, they can have a better participation, and to provide their points of view. So we can truly say that the first layer of power is information. So we need to collect information so that we can really see the impact of the citizen participation, and that can be translated into public policies. That is really key for us. In October 2024, when we started with classes, we could really feel the participation coming from the citizens. We took the responsibility of managing that school and turning it into the most beautiful one, the best one of Senegal. And every student there could have their backpacks that were part of a project we all worked towards the improvement of the school, taking into account citizen participation, because all of us can provide feedback. If participation is mandatory, is imposed, they can, after that, go to a voluntary participation. Voluntary participation is very low nowadays, and we need to improve this with initiatives that provide them with the needs, so that we can take into account the different needs of the different citizens. They already answered to the question that I wanted to make. I would like to speak about the experience of participatory democracy in public schools. And I will also like to work on a mention that it was granted by the IOPD for this. But this was addressed, so thank you so much. So should we conclude? We are very short of time, so we would like to really thank all of the speakers of this panel, and now we invite you to continue with this conference. Thank you very much. A great round of applause. Thank you, Tiago Baeniz from Brazil, Facundo Vargallo Vanegas from Buenos Aires, Mónica Vargas from Ecuador. Thank you, Juan Cristóbal Lloret Valdivieso from Ecuador. Now they'll get a picture. I would like to thank Fernanda Alonso as well, the mayor of General Pico, Argentina. And I would also like to thank the mayor of Combolain, Senegal. The recommendation to continue with this auditorium, you need to take into account that you need to go and look for the interpretation devices, because we will have participation in different languages now. And before we end with the day and you go back home, don't forget to return those devices, because otherwise you will go back home without your IDs and with your interpretation device.
Hola, hola. Gracias. Damas y caballeros, los invitamos a mantenerse en este espacio por...
We invite you to remain here because in a couple of minutes we will start or continue actually with this following activity for the afternoon in this first day of the International Observatory of Participatory Democracy, IOPD.
La mesa directamente. Sí, Claudio. Esto ya está. Ahora viene... No, son más. Mirá. Mirá. No sé qué hacer. No sé qué hacer.
No, y no tenemos tampoco mobiliario,
¿Y
nada.
a quién le puedo preguntar
Escucha,
eso?
¿por qué no hacerlos pasar por tandas? Que se sienten en la primera fila, los vamos a hacer sentar todos en la primera fila, hacerlos pasar por tandas, que expongan, gracias, y siguen 6 más, no 8.
¿Todo eso que tengo que hacer por las 2 horas?
8, acorta todo.
Son 2 horas.
Bajarles a 9. Entonces no se van a dar cuenta. Es lo único que puedo decir, porque
Bueno.
si no, no tenemos nada para... Una locura lo que han hecho.
Bueno. Te lo quedás vos. No. Ese quédatelo vos. Lo devolvés, Diego. Listo, ese es tuyo. Él te dijo que ese te entendió. Bueno, después le vamos a ofrecer cambiar. Por ahora déjalo con ese. Bueno, entonces, estaba por acá recién. Sí, ¿querés ofrecerlo vos, hacerle el cambio? Hacelo. Decirle, te traigo, o sea, te devuelvo el tuyo allá y te pido uno acá. Bueno, para, nos ordenemos. Nos ordenemos un segundo. Este es mi equipo. Sí. ¿Cuál es el tema? Bueno. Ahí vamos a ver. ¿Y por qué no le veo?
¿Quién es?
Continuamos con esta 24ª conferencia del Observatorio Internacional de la...
Now let's continue with the International Observatory of Participatory Democracy. This will be a continuation of the conference of the OIDP. The space for political debate among mayors, governors, and other elected officials of local and regional governments present. During this session, we invite elected officials present at the conference to take the floor to share their reflections and experiences on how to strengthen democracy and trust in institutions and the challenges to overcome. It is also a decisive moment to discuss the Córdoba Declaration, which will gather the main conclusions and commitments made by the participants of the 24th IOPD conference. In a global context of increasing urbanization, rising inequalities, and challenges such as the climate change or the current technological evolution, with democracies and institutions at risk, there is a growing need for citizens to adapt and to find ways to guarantee that the governance systems continue to be resilient. Under Connect, Integrate, and Humanize Cities Facing the Challenge of Building Community, this conference aims to create a space for dialogue and learning where the issues are brought to the forefront. Thank you for the music. In particular, the theme of this edition in Córdoba will contribute to identify mechanisms of citizen participation for community building, the trends and opportunities of city decentralization and local autonomy, and the impacts of new technologies in governance and decision-making. This session should be a central point that is open to local and regional governments so that they can provide their opinions, including the Córdoba Declaration, and the interventions are thought for them not to exceed the 3 minutes. 3 minutes, I'm sorry. On the first part, we have here the presence of some of the speakers. When they end, we will give the floor for others to come to the stage and also do the same. So right now, we have Roberto Naira Aburto, the mayor of Temuco, Chile. If you can raise your hand. A round of applause for him. Juan Cristobal Lloret Valdivieso, the prefect of Azuay, Ecuador, that was with us previously. José Duarte de Almeida, council person of Cascais, Portugal. Cascais. Cascais is the pronunciation. Enrique, I will go to Portugal because they say it's fabulous. Enrique Galindo Ceballos, Municipal President of San Luis Potosí, Mexico. Rubén Roberto Tuso, Vice Governor of Catamarca, Argentina. Ana María Martínez Rodríguez, Councillor of Valongo, representing the IOPD Portugal Conference. Mónica Pesantes of Cuenca, Ecuador, councilperson. And Esteban Alacino, Mayor of Luján de Cuyo, Argentina. They promised to brought wine. So, in the moderation of this first part, we have César Murúa, that is a professor and researcher at the Catholic University of Córdoba. Good afternoon. I would like to thank, first of all, the municipality of Córdoba for the initiative and IODP for hosting this. We have been working on the preamble of how we got to this place. It is a journey that has been going on for some months together with the other universities of Córdoba. We are part of the academic committee of this event. And one of the constant and cross-sectional premises of these preparation activities and of this event has been the following. Universities are part of the tradition and the genetic makeup of the city. So it was very important for us to be able to participate, and we are very thankful for the invitation of the IOPD and the municipality of Córdoba. So I will like to extend my appreciation for the invitation to be part of this event. The idea that we have for this high political level debate has to do with that. We mentioned that with the mayor of Luján de Cuyo. What is the difference of the expression of a mayor, a political authority, an elected officer, and the comments of the academia or the public? And difference is the responsibility and the degree of legitimacy of the elected officers and officials, and maybe we are professors who have studied a lot, but we don't have the experience and the legitimacy given by the vote of the citizens. So that is why it is very important for us to listen to what the authorities have to say, thinking about those questions that we gave you in that preliminary note regarding the vision that we have from municipalities, not only within the democratic system, related to strengthening democracy in the face of the local challenges that we're having, and also the vision that they have thanks to their experience, how their learning can be used to share that information that they have not only with the audience but also with their peers. So we will have 3 minutes for each of you. I'm sorry, I will have to be very strict. Maybe I will do some gestures if you met the time. You will have your time for the presentation of the speakers that we have now on the stage, and then we will move to the other speakers who are there at the auditorium. So first of all, Vice Governor of the province of Catamarca. So with the same microphone, we can do the presentations. Hello? Perfect. It is working. It is difficult to say everything in 3 minutes, but I'll try my best. And it is an opportunity I would really like to cherish. If there's no infrastructure consistent with the development that is proposed, there is no possibility whatsoever of meeting the goals. So, sometimes, to have better results, you need to have the proper infrastructure to get those outcomes. And I previously spoke about the impacts of the lack of balance of the multimodal of the transport in our city, in the road that goes over 95%, and only 5% is covered by the river and air transportation and railway transportation. It cannot be competitive with such a distortion. In other developed countries, the numbers are very different. For example, in road transportation, they have 60% or more. So we need to make a lot of investment in infrastructure, and we need to integrate the different countries and sectors that are involved in connectivity. And that is one of the things that has to do with this conference. La Plata River, Paraná River, all of them have to be improved. We need to improve the different ports to be able to use La Plata River and the other river to use it as a means of transportation that is also cheaper. And we also need to connect the four states of Brazil: Paraná, Santa Catarina, Rio Grande do Sur, and Mato Grosso of South, that have over 40 million inhabitants, with the entire north of Argentina, the central part of Argentina, Córdoba, Santa Fe, and Entre Rios provinces that add up to 12 million inhabitants, and some 12,000 square kilometers. So we have four states of Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay. We have a lot of connections. We need to connect our country with Chile as well, with a cross-sectional way in the railway, and all of the ports would be transfer ports with the different railroads and those that come with trucks. We need to have an integration of logistics and transportation to be more competitive. If we are more competitive, we can create more jobs, generate more inclusion, more wealth, and we can make people be better.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Riven Russo, Vice Governor of the province of Catamarca. We will continue with our colleague in the same order, the person next to you. So from now on, after we end with this presentation, we will have a conclusion, because this will be added to the document of the Córdoba Declaration. That will be one of the key documents, parts of our document. Thank you so much. Well, as he said, we need to improve the infrastructure of the state, to improve the living condition of people, and that legitimates democracy. But I think that nowadays we're facing a more complex and anticipated situation regarding what we can see in infrastructure. So what do citizens think about democracy? That is the main theme of this event. To strengthen democracy, you need participation. In Chile, I'm the mayor of Temuco, in the south of Chile. We have a survey that resulted in an analysis where we could see that there is a percentage of people in Chile, at 20%, do not care whether the government is democratic or is not. That is a problem. When citizens cannot distinguish between a totalitarian or democratic government, we really face a complex dynamics. I will not name any political person, but we are seeing some examples in Europe and in America that are endangering democracy and the fundamental rights of people. I was reading a newspaper from Chile, a meeting between Gonzalo and Aznar, both former presidents of Spain, where they focused on this. And they actually talked about the danger of these different speeches of different states to minimize the democratic methodologies. So what can a municipality do? Participation, legitimacy, face-to-face work with people, trying to make them understand that participation is the door to the state. When a person is facing a complex situation, they remember their place. Of course, they would like to talk to the president, for example, of the republic, but that would be impossible. Or maybe a council person. But it is very difficult for them to have access to them. We truly believe that municipalities are key for the development and strengthening of democracy. I will give you a very short example because of time constraints. But we, in Temuco, created a small program that is called One Morning with Democracy. And we take one student of our educational setting that have some leadership roles, and they come with us for an entire day, shadowing me, for them to understand that being close to a mayor is important. They need to know what a mayor does, and they are given an activity. There is nothing on script. For example, they can go to a meeting with the neighbors because they are angry for a specific situation, and the student will be a witness of this problem, for example, that the neighbors are having. We have been doing this for 2 years. These students did not know what a mayor did or a municipal council did. So strengthening participation is key. When we go to the town hall, there was no citizen participation department. And nowadays, we do not conduct any type of work, for example, to improve a green space without asking the neighbors what they want first. Because what happens when we don't listen to them? They do not feel empowered regarding their own needs, and they abandon the places. And it happened in previous administrations when authorities thought that they were doing the best for the community. And for example, neighbors were not interested in a soccer field if they didn't have lighting on the streets. We, as the authorities, thought that there was a different priority. So participation is key, and we need to know how we can make every citizen participate so that they truly believe that the municipality will solve their problems, because we cannot create false expectations that we can solve everything. We are a federal country here. You are a unitary country in Chile. We are fighting for communes to have more resources. We are a centralized country, and with this I end. There is a saying in Chile, God is everywhere, but only has offices in Santiago de Chile. Thank you. Thank you, Roberto. Here in Argentina, we have the same saying, the exact same saying, but what only changes is the city. Enrique Galindo of San Luis.
Galindo.
Thank you very much. My name is Enrique Galindo from San Luis Potosí. This is a city of 1 million population, the geographical center of Mexico. We are a human heritage UNESCO heritage site and city by UNESCO. And following on the idea of this great encounter, this great meeting, we are here to introduce this model of how can we get more citizens to help rule. Sometimes I think that democracy is just one day and the day of the vote. And with this challenge, we decided to see that democracy is built every day. In our city, we defined a mechanism to select democratically, to elect democratically 284 committees that receive a certification with legal value, that they don't have their constitutional attributions, but they have the mechanism that legitimizes the citizen participation into making decisions in every day in all of the different areas of my city. And the ones who fought with that first were the mayors. We had to lose that fear of letting citizens govern or rule. And we had created 670 committees of crime prevention. Cities, you know, there are some places which are dangerous. And here we had over 35,000 citizens helping solve the safety issues with regulations, with they are citizens who share decisions of public policy with the authorities, including budget criteria. We have participatory budget decisions, and we don't only work with these delicate matters. We also have them in cultural promotion. We have them in public works, in infrastructure, drainage, water, sewage, parks, gardens. And I could share with you maybe that we have over 80,000 citizens who are making decisions with the mayor or with the council people. And this is an entire tissue, an entire network, and it's based on two fundamental programs. One of them that we call Capital to the 100%, which is San Juan Potosí is the capital of the state, and we have 237 days in which the mayor is in 237 parts of the city. Every day, my work day starts somewhere where they live. Today, my day started in Córdoba, and I'm happy to be here, but if you see the broadcast, this program sustains the democratic construction in the city. And this contributes to the quality of democracy in my city. Thank you very much, Enrique. Up next, we're going to have Jose Duarte from Cascais. Go ahead. Thank you very much. This is an opportunity for me to speak my Portuñol. If you don't understand the word, please tell me. For us, it's a great pleasure to be here. We have barely 3 minutes. I want to talk because Cascais is going to be the next European capital of democracy, and this is a great responsibility for us for these days. It's very interesting to be able to share what we have in what we do in Cascais. Cascais is very close to Lisbon, sorry. And we have 140 different nationalities. We're very few, but we are dissimilar. And this is a concern that we want to make known every day, because we have to connect, we have to integrate, and we have to humanize it every day. This is a challenge that we face every single day. Here we invite people to participate with us, to be part of the collective road, the collective journey that we do every day in Cascais. Our city is an example at the national level. That's why we create the bridge between institutions, between people, and the politics and policies. And we don't do anything without hearing people. And it's very important for us to have the people people with voice and with accountability, and for them to know what they want and what they don't want. In Cascais, it's very simple for any person to be close to something that we have already done with the participatory budget. It's one of the biggest in Europe because there's no one who lives more than 500 meters away from a participatory work. So this is very strange for us. It makes us very, very happy. And what I wanted to add was that this closeness with the citizens is not something that happens overnight. We have a program, a plan with our own financing for that. That is part of our strategy, to call everyone to our table, and we can share our willingness, our intentions, and we can hear people, and we can hear what they want for the future. It's a great pride for me, and that's why we defend a democracy that includes, that listens, and that on top of all, that it makes itself respected. Thank you, and now we listen to Ana Maria Martinez.
Good afternoon. Once again, I'm in the representation of Rivera, that is representative of the Balongo unit, that is in the co-presidency of this International Observatory of Participatory Democracy. I wanted to share with you some examples. I want to share the experience that we have been having for 12 years regarding the mechanism of the community building. Participatory budget of Balongo was launched in 2014, was the first one that we implemented. Children and youth from the age of 6 were allowed to involve on how to allocate part of the budget on their needs. And we also have a program where we implement the projects that they present, for example. We also have the participatory budget of a different project that is internal, and it motivates all of the internal officials to propose that part of the public budget takes us to reflect on how we can improve the well-being of all workers. On another stage, we have different citizens of Balongo that are motivated in a sustainable way, in an inclusive way. It was a very dynamic process with a lot of work and very challenging for everyone. It was very innovative as well regarding what they say about the youth and trying to help them find their own way. This project brings the youth to be able to be involved in decision making regarding public policies. We had a great turnout of the youth telling about what they wanted to do, what they wanted to have in their surroundings, on their streets, on their neighborhood. We had the Children Council as well, where we had the participation of some educational professionals, and children could freely express their opinion to the authorities, and they propose improvements for the city. They work on the critical thinking of children, promoting from a young age an active participation. The participatory budget for seniors also provides them with the opportunity to participate as well and how to allocate part of the budget. In Valongo, we also have an accountability week. We have a public event where we answer to the different questions that the citizens bring to us. We want for transparency to be a pillar to motivate engagement from the society. And I would like to end my speech with this. We have been working for 12 years, so we know that we need to involve citizens in decision-making processes. Participation is crucial for politicians and elected officials to be able to correct and also to balance the different economic conflicts and social conflicts that we have. Citizen participation is key, and we also provide them with more information so that they are better informed to be part of public debate and to have a public policy of great quality. Democratic participation of citizens is very significant for us, and that is the challenge that truly motivates us. We are working on that, and I'm really happy of being here with you today. So thank you so much. Now we continue with Choret from Ecuador. Thank you so much. It is an honor for me to be here with all of the participants, and I would like to thank the IOPD for the kind invitation and to Córdoba for your warmth. In these 3 minutes that I have, I would like to say that we need to see how we go from a representative democracy and how that has an impact on us as citizens. We need to have a very participatory democracy and not participating only when the time comes to cast a vote. We need to take a look at some democracies, formal democracies, for example, that may be obsolete and they are not cross-sectional. They have different mechanisms, participation mechanisms that are not fit for everyone. A democracy that makes no democratization processes is counterproductive. We need to bridge the social gaps. We need to reduce poverty, or otherwise that democracy will fail. And that has to be one of our main goals within the national discussions and the subnational discussions and debates. Some minutes ago in the previous session, we said this, and I share the ideas of Jose Mujica. Democracy means leading by obeying. Obeying who? Citizens, of course. So we need to create participation models. For example, in the previous session, we were debating about different models, different systems. So the deeper the mechanisms are for participation, and the more common goals that we have, for example, fighting against inequity, inequality, and the true enemy that is poverty, only then we will be able to strengthen democracies in our countries and our regions as well, and our municipalities. In my case, I come from Azuay province that has 15 municipalities in Ecuador, and we have a citizen participation mechanism that was cross-sectional. So Every time we have drinking water, irrigation water, we have participation mechanisms that are cross-sectional to participate with, to engage with different citizens. When we perform road works, we participate, we make people be engaged. In 2024, we could prioritize 12,000 million with the help of citizen participation. This is one of the ways in which we can go back to those who have to make the decisions, that are the citizens, the ones that we are, that really say what we need to do. We need to go deeper on our work and to bridge the social gaps. Because you cannot think of democratic models that don't have that goal as their main goal. So for me, human beings are the center of everything, and I cannot understand it other way. The human being is the beginning and the end of every activity, over money, and not the other way around. Not human beings turned into slaves of capitalism. We need to put the human being at the forefront, at the beginning and at the end of everything that we think at the local government. This would be my input. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your intervention. The reflection was great. Now, Esteban Alacino of Luján de Cuyo, Mendoza.
Well, it's great when you give us some Fernet here, but beyond that, we've all lived in towns or cities. We all do. And in those towns or cities, they picked somebody like me or somebody like the rest of the people who are here that without knowing much apply the art of governing. So when you're alone with that desk, you don't have a procedure manual, you just have a pen, you have the air conditioning, and then you start saying, what will we do? And we've done this wrong. As our colleague from Temuco, he didn't want to say, but in the latest elections in Argentina, they voted 50% of people. It was 50% participation. So they don't believe in us. They don't believe in politicians, etc., etc. And that's a very complex problem to solve. And if we don't, democracy is going to start to disappear. And we don't want that. So we decided to take a tiny bit of those cities, with the premise that cities are designed for people and not cars, even though it's happened the other way around. And we wanted to take a tiny little bit, and we divided it by neighborhoods. And in each neighborhood you have a square, right? Where families should congregate after a day of work, a day of study, to have a day of pleasure. And these squares were deteriorated, and we proposed the people from the neighborhoods to design it from scratch, saying, here we want some swings, a toboggan, a slide. And they looked at us with mistrust, and they said, the mayor said that. And then again, we said, we wanted to do this square, and we have this amount of money, we're going to do this. And yeah, but the mayor said, okay, we're going to do that. And then we opened it. And then the mayor changed to Esteban. He participated of the meeting. He had one vote, so just the same as the rest that were there. The mayor, this person was a person who wanted to bring the city forward, to make the city better. So the presence of the mayor in a citizen meeting gave the idea that the word that they had given was going to be fulfilled. And with this program that grew and that we were able to make greater and professionalize, we are able to say to our neighbors that they need to believe in institutions, that the institutions are made of people of flesh and bone, that we are not people so different from them. We buy this in the same shops, we walk the same streets, and with small examples like theirs, the magic of democracy lives again. And with such examples, we can transform the place where we live. So there are many examples like this, and many examples that we have heard and we will hear how to inspire us to change our towns, to change Latin America, and to have democracy that is more alive than before. Thank you. Thank you very much, Esteban. He's very concerned about timing, right? That was perfect. 3 minutes. So I wanted to thank you all for your willingness to facilitate the interchange with the rest. Now, Mónica Pesantes from Cuenca. Thank you very much. I always start with a sentence, the phrase, with a quote that says that citizen participation is your right and your duty. Get involved, provide ideas, and improve everything. I'm honored to see among our panelists and also the people who are in this auditorium, the youths, and also Pampa, who is a little girl who is also here. That is citizen participation, that is democracy. Because when we have the priority groups that we need to fight for in each of the neighborhoods, that they are here. And since I am a person who is here as part of a citizen participation initiative, and I'm also accompanied by a person who is in the governability, and we also are here with the prefect of Azuay, and that's the way we work in Azuay and in Cuenca with priority care groups, with humanity, with empathy, and of course we are concerned about the movement and about the political party, but once we are elected, we work for the citizens and by empowering them through the citizen participation tools. And we do it by leaving our desks and being on the ground. And we get them involved. And we get all of the neighborhood representatives giving us a list of how many people in catastrophic situations, how many children, how many teens. And that's how we create a sense of belonging. We are creating an ordinance instituting neighborhood councils, but because we always complain about insecurity and, well, everything else, but we need to have somebody in the neighborhood. That's how we build citizen participation, and we're here for you. You have the power. We need to listen to you because you have the power. That's why I go to every neighborhood and I go to every place with this, because saying that the power is in the citizens and the citizens need to become empowered through the tools of the citizen observatories. And we have those relationships also with the mayor of Cuenca, that we can do it through technology with the programs called Cuenca Participa, Cuenca Participates, and other programs in which citizens help us build this society because this is for them. And believe me, we are always paying attention to our priority care groups. We work with technology and we are on the ground. And that's the only way to know which are the needs. And this is how we create public policy. But we're here trying to get youth to participate in the commissions, because we know that they don't believe in the policy, they don't believe in the politicians, they don't believe in democracy. So we need them to believe again. Thank you very much, Monica, for your presentation. Let me tell you how we're going to continue in the second phase. We're going to have a new panel with the rest of the panel members. And once we finish, we're going to do a picture. Before you go, we're going to do a picture. Yes, with the names, yes. I'm missing one name here. And a bit of volume as well. I'm having issues with the sound. Getting light.
Hola, ahí está, muchas gracias.
Don't have the name of the representative of Mozambique. Please come here.
Bien,
We're going to be joined by the second part of this panel by Cesar Njenga from Inambari, Mozambique. We also have Simões, from the Secretary of the Government of Brazil. Guillermo de Rivas, the Mayor of Rio Cuarto. Fernanda Alonso, the Mayor of General Pico, Argentina. Carlos Bazán, the Mayor of Oberá, Pablo Hassan. The Mayor of Ayacucho. And Konstantinos Koukas, from the former mayor of Mykonos. He is Vice President of the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council on Europe. João Paulo Lima, from the State Deputy of Pernambuco, former mayor of Recife. These are all the people who... Thank you very much. We're going to follow the same sequence.
Perfect. We continue. The dynamics will be the same. We'll have 3 minutes for each. And then we will give the microphone to the person next to you, okay? Now we'll give you the floor.
¿No se escucha?
En este tiempo quiero solamente rendir de 4 grandes iniciativas del gobierno de...
I would like to thank the initiatives of Brazil and different states and municipalities with all of the policies that are developed from Malongo to Córdoba. This is a priority for us. Citizen participation and territorialization with local councils. They need to be able to participate in public policies in their territories. Under the presidency and the General Secretariat or Ministry of Interior, we have this social participation program in the cities. And the first step was to gather the 26 states in a forum of social participation with the involvement of 1,027 participants. 1,027 participants from the civil society to be able to plan for the identification of the different needs of the territory. The second initiative is a healthy food program that has been implemented in 81 parts of the northeast of the country, 5 ministries of the national government with 9 states, organized in an association where we will implement production of healthy food, joining citizens This will be an experience of joining all of the different levels of the government for the population to have healthy food, technical assistance. All of these stages will be preceded by public participation. Then we have the university outreach program from the Ministry of Education with the Ministry of Interior, and we will use a network of hundreds of campuses, institutions, universities, and social participation, and bridging that with the university system. And we pay homage to this. We already know about the university reform that has changed the entire university system. And we know that teaching, research, and outreach are key, and they need to interact and have the community be involved in universities and to have a better conversation between the two of them and more participation on the territory, on the ground. We are also preparing the municipalization and nationalization of the platform of citizen participation. In the following month, we will launch the different functionalities of this platform, and by the end of the year, all of that will be offered as a free open code software with the opportunity of each municipality or state to be able to customize the digital platform, and with that we'll be contributing to the participation system for us to be closer to citizens. Thank you so much. Next, we'll have Cesar of Mozambique. We are so sorry for the interpretation. The microphone is not working properly for the interpretation booth. We're sorry, we're not getting the audio to the booth.
Quando há espaço para a interação e uma conversa, não é, aberta entre as partes. E que nesta vertente é preciso perceber que a linhagem é uma e única, mas esta linhagem, fim último, é trazer o bem-estar para os munícipes ou para a população no geral. Isto porque ela é que é epicentro, não é, de toda a possível política, ela é que é epicentro de todas as realizações. Então, para que isto aconteça e façamos nós com que as coisas corram.
Citizen participation must be at the forefront so that we as authorities can deliver proper governance, and all of us are accountable to participate and to make them be involved. In my municipality, we have several neighborhoods, and we need for all of them to make all of the population that they have get involved. Based on the open government, we need to listen to each of their voices, and then we can have the proper elections where we will see this participation as well. If we had some mistakes in the past, we need to learn from all of them. It is very necessary to know what the neighbors want. We need to have freedom of expression in that democratic world so that we can have the voices of everyone involved. Sometimes when we do not make the right decisions, we harm people, we create damage, and we need to address this because otherwise democracy will fail. Now we have the representative from General Pico, Alonso. We have shared some other panels. It is an honor to have you here. The city of Córdoba is a great one. I wonder. Sorry, the audio is not good. The ones who participate the most are women. Did you know that? Did you know that each participation space that I've been able to attend to
Iniciativa fuerte
has a strong participation of women. Let's try not to lose for that. And we need to represent everyone who is part of this as well. Women are part of this. I also said a similar thing in a different scenario here in Córdoba. I'm really thankful for the invitation. I said at this panel, when I was sharing the floor with some other speakers and mayors, male mayors, the experience of participation of our city of 67,000 inhabitants that has used the tool of participation from the different neighbors. And that has to be done from the start and not once decisions are already made, right? So we need to have true advocacy so that every neighbor can, with different councils and participatory budgets, to have different mechanisms that we can sustain throughout with different frameworks that back up this so that they can turn into ordinances and laws. We need to really defend these spaces, but there is no more legitimate defense than participation, being there, working together, and with the actual presence, so that advocacy is shown in the decision-making processes at our desks. One more mechanism that I didn't mention is the open department that goes to the neighbor with the mayor and different secretaries and officials. We go to the neighborhood and ask citizens what are the problems that they are having. And that's how we can take home the work. This organizes management. We need to know about that and act appropriately. Otherwise, this won't be feasible. We need to have resources, and we are constantly trying to add more. We need to defend federalism. I think that is one of the pillars that we need to include for participatory democracy. We are accountable for leading the future of the different cities. So I wish that from this collective space that we are creating here in Córdoba, under this enormous umbrella of a multilateral organization such as this, we can truly make some specific changes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And up next we have Pablo Hassan from Oidp. Okay, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your invitation. I would like to summarize. I come from Oidp Misiones. I was elected mayor with 28 years old. And when I started, I had to finish a mandate of 2 years that had left aside the citizen participation, one of the main pillars that one of the main decisions that we made on this moment was to work with this concept and get closer to the commissions that had been dissolved throughout the years. I was a kid, a 28-year-old kid with completely away from the institutions and had to create this spirit of participation of democracy, and that was very tough. And the main thing with that is when you had to listen. And the commissions, which were led by women and integrated by women, and all we heard was anger and 1 hour of anger, and they asked for answers, and and I started writing, and when we finish, I will answer. Then after the neighbors would unload, they would explain with reasoning the reasons why some things we were not able to do them, and some things we were able to do them. We started building a link, which throughout time was strengthened. And when other commissions saw that this was working, we started creating a contagion effect. And now we have more than half of our neighborhoods with very strong, very working neighborhood commissions. We have 2 of them here. And as an example of concrete works together with the city and the neighbors, that was great for us. And finally, I want to close with the youth. Political participation in institutions in our city comes from listening. And with a state that is there, that is present in the different intermediate institutions that make up our social network, so that everyone can choose where they want to provide their support. Sometimes they want to drive youth to participate in a particular topic, and that's not the way. Youth select causes more than traditional parties, or they select causes, and they get passionate with their ability and the ability to join them and to accompany them. These youths are going to have the ability of creating better governments and transform society. And I hope this day is a success. Thank you very much, Pablo, for your contribution. Now we have Emilio Cardinier. Thank you very much. I'm from Ayacucho, province of Buenos Aires. This is a city that is towards the south of Buenos Aires. We have 22,000 inhabitants in our latest census. This is a very large city. This is not a very large city, sorry. And the province is divided into sections called partidos. And 70 kilometers from our city, we have another town. We have another one 40 kilometers away, and another one 20 kilometers away, which is La Constancia. They are all inside Ayacucho. So we need citizen participation to know what do they need in each place, so what's going on there. So we made citizen participation our flagship. We have citizen commissions for them to ask what they want in their neighborhoods, and we've been doing this from 1984. This was the year in which the ordinance was approved. And more than talking about a particular experience in Ayacucho, after we heard of the different panelists, I felt I'm so glad to share all of those examples. I wanted to share a thought from my point of view, some of the ideas that promote strengthening democracy. And the first thing was to protect the institutions. And we have a great duty and a great obligation if we are in public functions. If you are going to, you need to submit the budgets, you need to have accountability, and the way it works and the people that integrate these institutions need to be taken care of. We need to take care of the institutional network. And then we need to empower citizenship through education. I think that the educational system has a fundamental role. As for their rights of citizen participation, we need to give them citizen education, build citizenship, empower every person to know which are their possibilities to participate in the life of the town and the city. And we need to strengthen democracy. And citizen participation is very important for that. I wanted to share 4 conclusions that we reached in the Mercosur network, a network with over 400 cities in South America mainly, but there are other cities that are participating in the IOPD. We worked on several initiatives, and at the end of the year, we concluded regarding citizen participation in several axes. First of all, I need to formalize the spaces of participation. We need to formalize and creating ordinances, resolutions, statutes, give them statutory order to give them stability. And for that leads us to the second item, which is to review constantly the mechanisms of participation. The third conclusion was that we need to create systems of incentives so that people would participate. Some of them do that voluntarily, but some people don't have that drive. So we needed to have the carrot to invite people to participate. And the final item was to show results. If we promote participation, we are convinced of having citizen participation to strengthen democracy, and then we don't show results, then that makes it harder to have the participation of citizenship. So Esteban was talking about the square, so that people can trust, can commit, and participate actively in what's going on. So taking that example and taking the case of the Fernet and the wine, when we have the Fernet and the square, we're going to have the wine as well. So thank you. Thank you very much, Emilio. Thank you. And now up next, we are going to give the floor to Constantino Koukas from Mykonos.
That originally I'm also a representative of local authorities. I come from Greece, that wonderful country, far enough, and I served as mayor of my island, Mykonos Island, for 2 terms for almost 10 years. I got elected 32 years old. I was quite young, as you were, the youngest mayor back then in Greece. And today I still serve as a councillor in Mykonos Island and as a member of the supervisory board of Central Union of Municipalities in Greece. And the reason that I am here today, it is that I represent the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe as a vice president of it the last 5 years, which is a pan-European assembly with 46 member states of Europe, 150,000 local and regional authorities, and over 600 million of people. So, although I am quite honored to be among all of you, and very happy because it's something new for me, having to do with people globally. Usually we're among Europeans or Greeks. I won't share specific examples of participatory democracy because I don't represent a municipality, neither a state. We have representatives from Portugal, which are members of the Council of Europe. They said a lot. I will try to speak about something more general, since I represent the whole organization. So I decided to speak about the AI. artificial intelligence. Since the Council of Europe, the last 1 year ago, more than 1 year, adopted the first international treaty about the rule of law and artificial intelligence, which is something that it is here. And since the Council of Europe is famous for the human rights law, the European Court of Human Rights, artificial intelligence, human rights, and local democracy are very connected. So I will have to say to you some remarks about it, which I think that they will help our discussion, and then I will have some closing remarks about the resolution you want to have, you want something from all of us. So, in titles, technology is a tool, and how you use it, it reflects our values. The digital transition and AI can engage participation, as we discussed, service delivery, and citizen engagement. But they also risk deepening exclusion, especially for the elderly, migrants, or digitally marginalized groups. During my time, as I told you, for almost 10 years as the mayor of Mykonos Island in Greece, I saw the double-edged nature of tech. It improved efficiency, but also left some behind. We must design digital policies with the most vulnerable in mind first, not last. Otherwise, we risk creating a smart democracy that is not a fair democracy. Inclusion must be at the heart of every technological advance. With those things in mind about the artificial intelligence that I wanted to stress, I go to the closing statements wishing to help the resolution of Córdoba. Democracy today faces many challenges, but local democracy, what we represent here, holds many of the answers because it is closer, as we know very good, to people, more responsive and more human. As the Vice President of the Congress, I have seen across Europe how participation, dialogue, and trust can still flourish when they start locally. The future of democracy depends on our ability to connect, include, and empower, exactly the theme of this year's conference in Córdoba. Let's work together to build a democracy of proximity where citizens feel seen, heard, and involved, not only for their own sake, but for the strength of our societies as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, muchas gracias. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Constantino. You had 30 seconds to finish and you were great. Guillermo Rivas, Mayor of Rio Cuarto. Good afternoon. It is an honor for me to share this high-level OIDP political dialogue. I would like to take this opportunity to reflect on democracy and participation. I think that in the last centuries, we thought that everything had their specific answer, and nowadays, everything poses questions. Of course, as a society, we're no longer living a time of change. We are living in a change of an era. And there are a lot of paradigms relating democracy, representation, and we see some sort of new challenges. And why? Because I think that before we used to say that as a society or as administration, we were on a crisis. And I think that crisis, rather than being in a crisis, we are going through complex times. And we have different dilemmas that are posed. And within this context, I think that we can find this concept of democracy and of participation being pillars. We who come from Argentina know that there is a section in our constitution that says the people do not govern or debate, but through their representatives. And those of us who are here in this Congress start asking ourselves, Well, our national constitution, doesn't it need to be changed? Because we are in a change of an era. We already see that the essence stems from participation. So this change of an era regarding our democracy can be compared with the facts. What is happening with that ideal of democracy in Argentina that for 40 years was the end in itself? Participation in the elections at the time of choosing the authorities goes very low, significantly losing representation and legitimacy. But on the other hand, in this change of an era, we have an increase in the citizen participation policies. So we must ask ourselves, why do we have this growth in participation, in the need to have more participation? Because the paradigm has shifted. Citizen participation nowadays in public policies of participatory budgets and neighborhood councils. When neighbors participate, or at the time they need to cast their votes, or they need to participate in an event, when they are truly committed and are motivated, that is because they are waiting for a result. And it's very clear nowadays that us who have the political representation, the motivation, the expectation is being a lower one when they have to choose the authorities that are in those. And when we can truly listen to the neighbors and they can really see the results of their intervention, then participation increases. That is the essence of participation of neighbors. We need to transform realities. And that's where the legitimacy of each of the citizen participatory policies are. In these new times, in this change of this era, we need to put them at the forefront. Legitimacy is strengthened as long as citizens can see how their actions can transform realities. So I truly believe that in these times of artificial intelligence, in times of social networks and communications as a potential to reach to more people, I think that this makes us go back to the essence of governing for the people and with the people. Nothing will replace active listening, the direct relation, the human contact, the ability to listen and to be able to communicate and understand, to be able to reach the expectations and satisfaction of our citizens. So that's why I truly celebrate the need in this change of an era to keep on strengthening and betting for this and to create management actions that allow us to be in close contact with this new reality. And that is only provided by citizen participation through debate and dialogue spaces of high level, of direct level, and mainly a human debate with each of our communities. Thank you so much. Thank you, Guillermo, for your words. Now, Magueye Boye from Senegal.
Muchas gracias, ya me han presentado, ya saben lo que opino sobre estos auriculares. Sorry, you've already been introduced, you know what I think about this, the headsets. But it's a small country, but it's a great one based on the history. The population is very, very small, and it's in just 5 square kilometers, but it has a lot of history. And I think that this invitation is a true pleasure for me to be here. And it's a true pleasure for me to be here and share my experience and to invite you to visit us. I've been asked to talk about representative democracy. And if I think about that, I think about the elections, right? For representatives. If I had been asked about picking an image that sends me to participatory democracy, what would it be? Would it be the image of representative democracy, the election of citizens to select a representative, right? Well, but the image that participatory democracy should give us should be an ear, right? It's listening that constitutes the main axis of a participatory democracy. The person who listens to someone considers 50% of the concerns of that person. In election processes, we talk to the population to convince them of selecting us, of electing us. And some of them become distant after electing us. Between these two elections, what happens in the meantime? It's participatory democracy, the one that humanizes the relationships between the public policy and the population, because if not, we would be limited to the selection or to the election of authorities in one or other mandate. So we hear 50% of the concerns. So once you finish hearing attentively a person, you will have taken 50% of their concerns. But we have not exercised hearing. That's why sometimes we're pushed to offer a person things that they have not asked us. But if you listen to them and if you understand what this person can provide as an answer to a problem, we would be in the presence of a participatory democracy that optimizes resources, that would allow us to fine-tune the resources, select the sensitive points. And sometimes we don't have many financial resources, but listening would allow us to solve little problems, small problems, without making great efforts, just by listening. So by listening and having some money, we don't have to answer, to explain. We need to explain at the end of our mandate. But first we need to act. If I had to summarize participatory democracy, I would summarize it in a process from listening to action. So once we finish listening, we can act. So that's why I invite you to, maybe I should have talked to you about my community and showed you some examples. But I want to tell you that it's a muscle that we need to train, because if we don't train it, we're going to use it for something else. So that's why I invite you to train this muscle. We need to fight poverty. We need to change the 90% of monetary holding that we have in the world, so that more people can have a better reality. That would be fundamental. That would show that we can get closer to population, that we can answer to the concerns of the population. We must be solidary. We must show solidarity amongst communities inside our territory. We need to create bonds with other people. We need to understand them to solve their problems. And that's those people have problems with education, with energy, with transportation, and they all come in the same way, and they all have the same face. In Argentina, Greece, Brazil, Mozambique, Senegal, we are close to the population. We need to act. We need to give answers to those populations, to those peoples. The technique, the oil drop technique. Before that oil drop goes to the periphery, we can limit its access. We don't need for it to go to the periphery, to the borders. We need to act before it reaches there so that the population can have their answers. We must get communities to participate, and that's why we need to listen to them, and then we need to act. That's what I wanted to share with you, and I really want to thank the invitation that you have given me. Thank you very much.
Me trajo una remembranza a mis clases.
You reminded me to my French classes. You took me back in time to my French classes. Thank you very much. And at the end, to close the presentations from the high-level participants, and before I get to the closure, we have João Paulo. I'm here for the second time here in Córdoba. I come from the northeast in Brazil. It's a state that is very important, 1.5 million inhabitants. When we hear about citizen participation, it's important to think about the budget of the city, and this budget is the result of the value that is collected from taxes. So the discussion, the debate in a very unequal area is that the priority is to put the people who need it the most in the city budget, and discussing the priorities, the works that need to have priority. That's a way of... Sorry, it's... If that's the responsibility of a mayor, if the responsibility is to protect the population, then participatory budget is an instrument that elevates the masses in a country. If you win an election after a democratic process, you may win an election, you may lose an election, but what guarantees that you're going to stay in politics is to have that reach, that possibility of raising the political awareness of the citizens. And you need to think about those topics that are going to become priorities. You need to argue the problems of the citizens, of the youths, you need to create conferences. All of these actions are important, and we are in a city with many geographical contrasts. We have large numbers of rains sometimes. So we developed a policy to save lives, because those rains sometimes cost lots of deaths. And these vulnerable people, are in the periphery of the cities, usually a black population of poor people. We have a large African descent population, and the slavery policies in Brazil created a distortion of that reality. So we need to look at them. We need to keep them in mind. This is an important space. As we said, there was a disruption with the use of AI. There was an advancement of rights throughout the world, but we never thought that could lead to an extreme right government before Lula returned. So we need to give our citizens that participation to defend democracy, and also as an instrument to increase political awareness, ecological awareness, and especially increasing the awareness that we are a society and we cannot accept a world with so much violence being practiced against the poorest in all of the four corners of the world. Thank you very much. Thank you. The goal of this final instance was to create an area of expression and dialogue of the authorities, the political and authorities legitimized by the vote. But we also wanted to have this as a contribution to the final declaration of this meeting. Using my 3 minutes and not going much beyond that, I wanted to create a summary, a short summary of the main topics that have been suggested. First issue was, I think that was cross-sectional, across all of our speakers, the challenges of poverty and inequality, which are issues that municipal governments need to fight with. And they are having great consequences and effects on their legitimacy, because poverty and legitimacy not only affect the image of a politician, but they are also affecting the legitimacy of the political systems. The mayor of Temuco quoted some data that some people prefer authoritative governments instead of democratic governments. Now we have an issue that comes to a social level that we're managing. Guillermo talked about some questions, some issues, and how those questions, how those complaints about democracy are putting in doubt, are putting in jeopardy that could lead to extreme decisions. This idea of raised ground based on the apparent or the supposed uselessness of the institutions after a false illusion of change, of transformation, that if it's not replaced by a just and equitable order, it's going to have the same problems as before. And with these reflections from the provincial and municipal authorities is that they had to draw a strategy. They didn't just make a diagnosis, but they also suggested a series of strategies, which I have listed now, which I will list now. The first one is to build an idea of democracy and development. The Vice Governor of Catamarca mentioned having a vision of development, of growth. I was emphasizing on infrastructure, but each of us has their own way of creating local development. We have they mentioned all about the importance of local development to foster economy. Then you need to have a vision of democracy, a vision of development that should not be left just in thought, but also needs to be transformed into networks and institutions. That's the way to keep changes in place after time. If not, the next government will change it back and we need to start from scratch. Those rules can be sorted into 4 kinds of rules and institutions that can help strengthen democracy and local governments. First, they need to be inclusive. They need to include genders and generations. Fernando spoke about this as well. And there were 2 experiences here in Temuco and San Luis Potosí, talking about how they share with the younger people. We cannot think about the future of democracy if we don't make the youths and children and teens part of these processes. These experiences of sharing your day, or having instances, for example, of in the case of Balongo, about participatory budgets, where you had children and youths. I'm 4 minutes, so I will have to accelerate. The rules need to be participatory as well, with genuine participation, to provide opportunities for decision making. The examples of participatory budgets are very important. They need to be innovative rules. We're going through changes in society. Several speakers talked about that. Konstantinos spoke about AI, and it's important to include new tools, new strategies, new procedures. And finally, we need to have rules that promote effectiveness. Somebody talked about bridges. I would say that in local governments we need to create bridges between, not just between results and public policy, but we saw the number of things that were suggested here. They are all public policies. And these public policies come, the first step of policy are taxes that we collect. The taxes, duties, etc., so that they can have governments collect those, so that they can create public policies to satisfy needs. And we are having the problem that results are not being optimal or are not existent at all. The policies don't have an impact in the transformation of reality, and that is turning questionable and unnecessary to have these policies. So the discussion is coming from the fiscal side. And Fernanda talked about fiscal sustainability. We need to guarantee the fiscal sustainability of the city, of the municipality. And the municipalities need to create a bridge to connect the taxes, public policies, and results. So we need to increase the effectiveness of public policies, because that is going to put in jeopardy the state and our role in society. I want to thank all of our speakers and everyone who was here today with us. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, César.
Thank you, Cesar, for moderating this part of our event. I would also like to thank our panelists of the last session of the day. Of course, you can... Oh, may you take a picture? Would you like to take a picture? Great. And I remind you, please, that you have to return the interpretation devices to be able to have your IDs back. So, we'll continue with this conference starting at 9. Tomorrow at 9, we will continue with the 24th conference of the International Observatory of Participatory Democracy, IOPD, here in Córdoba capital, Argentina. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow.